Today, we're going to show you some forbidden albums which capture moments that were never supposed to be released.
Rare concerts, lineups, even performances and recordings you can't find anywhere else. Some of them have been passed around by collectors for years.
I found one of my records in here, a bootleg record.
You know, Todd, some of these sound incredible, and some of them sound rough, and a few of them might actually be illegal.
If you help us, we'll put them behind bars for good.
Once you understand what you're looking for, you'll never see your collection in the same way again.
Guys shouldn't be messing around with bootlegs.
Later in the video, we're also going to talk about someone who was actually part of the early bootleg scene.
That's right. That's someone who helped create the artwork for some of the most well-known bootlegs ever made. All right, Lair, let's talk about bootlegs or unofficial recordings. So when we say bootleg, Lair, enlighten us.
A bootleg is an unauthorized recording, usually a live show, could be demos or just unreleased material that the artist never officially put out.
And it's those that back in the day that someone snuck a recorder into a concert, and usually when you sneak a recorder into the concert and you sit like in a good seat, like near the soundboard, preferably, that's an audience recording.
Or if you knew a guy who knew a guy, you might get a copy straight from the mixing board, and that's called a soundboard recording. They're the pristine ones.
Is bootlegging legal? I guess the short answer here is no. They violate the Copyright Act and, you know, all the licensing that would normally go to record label or the licensee, and of course the Copyright Act, right? So it's against the law. But
Sure.
the good news here is, Lair, that rarely do they ever enforce it.
And, you know, as a collector, somebody that's really interested in just listening to the music, you're probably just fine buying these things. The FBI isn't coming for you. They're coming for the people who are making all these copies and selling them in an organized way. That's who they're gunning for.
All right. Before we show you some of the great examples, we've got something we didn't even plan to share yet, and it's really too exciting not to mention it.
We're talking about the guy who worked on artwork for some of the most legendary bootleg and bootleg labels ever made.
And that guy is William Stout, and he actually goes by Bill. And here's the crazy part. When we reached out to him, Lair, he said, yes, he would love to do an interview.
Make sure you're subscribed because this one's coming very soon.
All right, Lair, as promised, we're going to get into some of the great examples of good bootlegs. And first off, I wanted to give a shout out to Bobby, who went through the albums I picked today and gave me a whole new perspective on what to look for in bootlegs.
I don't know a thing about bootlegs.
Not that Bobby would actually know, Lair.
Oh, yeah, right. Not a person I know knows more about that than him.
Lair, the first one I'm going to show here today is Rainbow. It Can't Happen Here, right? Take a look at this one. This actually looks totally legit. It was sealed when I got it, or at least it was in the shrink, I think, when I got it. This one actually looks legit. Full artwork, nice, clean presentation. But guess what, Lair? This one's a bootleg. And this was probably sold in the stores under like the cover of darkness or whatever. And it's actually a 3 LP set, but it's an excellent audience recording.
And one thing I would just add to that, Todd, is you and I are not music snobs, okay? Just because a recording says it's an audience recording does not mean necessarily that it's inferior. There are some audience recordings that you would swear are soundboard recordings.
Yeah.
It's just that most audience recordings are not as good sounding as soundboards. This is one of my favorite groups. This is Midnight Oil, Blue Sky, Red Earth from 1990. This is maybe one of the best sounding bootlegs I've ever listened to. This album was recorded at the peak of their creativeness and has all sorts of Blue Sky Mine, Dead Heart, but the clarity, the pounding beat of Rob Hurst's drums is really, really breathtaking to listen to on this recording.
All right. Here's another good one that I have, Lair. This is Rush, The Temples of Syrinx, St. Louis, 1980. Now, it's a little faded, right? The cover, not water damaged or anything. I absolutely love this bootleg. It captures Rush at their peak, at their best. It is an FM broadcast recording, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, Bobby helped me confirm that.
You guys still talking about bootlegs?
Yep.
We sat down and listened to this one, and it was incredible.
Next one I got, I'm especially proud of this one. This is off of the King Street label. This is the King Biscuit Flower Hour. King Biscuit Flower Hour released a number of their concerts. This is not one that you would normally associate with being easily gettable from the King Biscuit Flower Hour. This is because this is a Japanese import. So this is not that easy to find. And this particular show is actually 2 entire shows.
And that's the whole show, right? You're looking at the entire show there. You're not looking at, like, for example,
2 of them.
right, when we did our one of our videos, which is a good one, live or studio, if you prefer a live album,
Yep.
we did, like, let's use Peter Frampton Comes Alive, right? Frampton
Yep.
Comes Alive, one of the most famous live albums of all time. That wasn't recorded in its entirety for one show. It was recorded over several shows during a tour.
That's what bootleg live recordings give you, the authenticity of one show, beginning to end. This is what the band really sounds like live.
This is one of my favorite bootlegs, and it was one of my favorite bootlegs for the fact that
Ooh, Randy Rhoads.
Randy Rhoads is in there. However, is it really Randy Rhoads?
What?
Bobby and I listened to this, and we both agreed the recording is excellent. This is definitely a soundboard recording, but it's not Randy Rhoads, right? 1982 LA, Randy had already passed. He,
That's a
he was
giveaway.
already dead, kind of. And it's actually on here it's Brad Gillis and not, the great playing of Randy Rhoads. I was a little disappointed, but I didn't have to wait long because I found Ozzy Osbourne live in Montreal, 1981, and Randy Rhoads was actually alive during this one. Now, this one is actually featuring Randy Rhoads.
How's the sound quality of Randy's?
It's excellent. It's FM. It's an FM broadcast, right?
So okay. The next one I have here is John Cougar, Small Paradise from 1990. This is a flawless soundboard of early Cougar in what he sounds like in a very small nightclub. This was recorded under the Great Dane label, which was a legend in the bootleg business way back when. So the quality is stellar. It took me 12 years of searching to find this particular concert, Todd. And this is the one thing I'll tell you. This is heavy on early John Cougar. His first album, John Cougar, and the second one, Nothing Matters and What If It Did. Probably my two favorite albums by him. This leans heavily into that music, and it's a keeper. The Swingin' Pig label and the Great Dane label and others really had a great reputation. And with bootlegs, everything is very iffy. You're not sure if you buy it, if you're going to get a good one or a bad one. But if you knew certain labels and you saw them, that was as close to a sure thing as you could get with bootlegs. All right. Another rainbow here, Boston 81. This is a great, and I mean it looks legit. It's a great version off of Purple Pyramid. This is the coolest version, I think, of Smoke on the Water that you'll ever hear. Richie plays around on the guitar, plays around with the audience, teasing them with intros to other Deep Purple songs until he finally gets into Smoke on the Water and goes through with it.
Earlier, I said we never had an interview on this show before, but I actually lied. We've actually had an interview on this show before.
Oh, we did,
Richie
didn't
Blackmore.
we? Richie Blackmore.
Yeah, Richie Blackmore was on the channel. You'll see it out there. One of the most.
It was a great interview too.
Yeah, it was a great interview, and it was really nice of Richie, even though he's kind of a jackass. He gave us a little bit of time.
He was a jackass. All right, this is Steely Dan, Reeling Through the Years, live at the Record Plant in 1974. So this is really before they really hit it big. And the thing, Todd, you and I were talking about Steely Dan before. A lot of people love them. A lot of people don't love them because of their sterile sound. Every note has to be perfect. And a lot of people don't want that sterile sound when they're listening to rock and roll or music.
Right.
This is not, they didn't get to that point yet. This is when they were a rock and roll band trying to prove themselves and make it. So it's very raw.
They were always meticulous about all their work in the recording studio.
My next one, buddy, is a famous reissue of a 1986 bootleg. There's many lists out there that will say top 100 bootlegs of all time. This is always on that list. This is Jason and the Scorchers. If you like country rock, if you like the Georgia Satellites, the Black Crowes, this is who started that sound before they even were bands. Jason and the Scorchers is a wonderful band, and this recording, I will warn you, is the recording itself is bad to average, but the performance is so powerful and awesome that it is still one of the most sought after bootlegs and concerts that you can find out there. Last one I have here, buddy, is the Eagles. This is Don Kirshner's rock concert. This is the full concert, which you don't usually find. That you find a few cuts here or there. This is the full concert. This is the Eagles, who started out as Linda Ronstadt's backup band. They started cutting albums, and they had Linda come back and guest with them on this concert, and Jackson Browne also.
All right, Lair. So you can also get shitty bootlegs, right? And I give you an example of one right here. I bought this sealed many years ago. I come to find out this is a bootleg of a bootleg. And you can see that this was actually a Smokin' Pig, but somebody had made a photocopy of the cover of a TMQ.
Oh, no.
In the front and back, and then put it in this blank album cover. I didn't know it was sealed. I opened it up, and honest to God, it sounds like somebody recorded it from like an Emerson tape player, one of those cheap-ass tape players with one of those little cheap plastic microphones in a tub.
Do you remember where you bought that, Todd?
Yeah, I bought it at a flea market, actually. It was sealed, and I should have known better.
Todd, I can't tell you, when I was growing up and going to stores, and when I was growing up, there were lots of stores that they sold almost entirely bootlegs. So you knew to go there if you wanted a bootleg, but they would never open. It was all sealed, and they would never let you open because they were scared that you'd hear the poor quality, and then you wouldn't buy it. But people were so starved to hear new recordings of their favorite artist that they would pay premium money and be disappointed most of the time with stuff like that.
Now, there is a difference between an unofficial recording bootleg and a counterfeit. And I have one here. This is a 70s copy of the 13th Floor Elevators, the psychedelic sounds of the 13th Floor Elevators from 1966. It's super early psychedelic rock. I think most people know the 13th Floor Elevators. The original pressings for this were super highly collectible. And as you can tell, they did a really good job.
That looks professional.
Recreating it. It does. It really does. It's on the orange vinyl, and it has a very similar label, but this is a total counterfeit. This was a ripoff of the original album, and there was a lot of these made. Not particularly these, but there were a lot of counterfeits of that particular album. It's not a rare find. You can find them. You can find them around. It does actually sound good. So I'm keeping it, and it's good for the collection. Okay, Lair. Sometimes bootlegs don't stay bootlegs for very long. And in this case, take the Bob Dylan bootleg series. This came out in 1991. And I think Bob Dylan just, like we were talking about earlier, snagged up the bootlegs, and then he released his own. I think this is actually on Sun Columbia Records too, right? So it was a bootleg.
Okay, Todd. Here's one that just came out last week on Record Store Day. This is a bootleg demo cleaned up by Steven Wilson. This is Pink Floyd, and it was recorded by one of the most famous bootleggers, Mike Millard, known as Mike the Mike.
Yeah. I did a little research on Mike the Mike, and back in the 70s, he was known for really sneaking in high-end recording gear into the concerts and then capturing these really high-quality audience recordings. What do you think of the sound of that one?
It's not as good as you would normally associate with something that Steven Wilson touches, but that just shows you what it was before he got his hands on it. The performance itself is fine. The sound quality is well above average. It is not soundboard quality by any stretch, though. Another one I got for you, Bad Company, live in Albuquerque. 1976. This is a concert that if you were trying to find this concert, it was selling for over $600 on Amazon for years. And then all of a sudden, they released it as an addendum, as an extra bonus disc to their deluxe edition of one of their regular albums. Forget if it was their first or second one. One of those albums came out. The deluxe edition includes the Live at Albuquerque 1976 concert. Fantastic deal.
Yeah. And usually that's how it happens, right? The records are going for such high dollar that somebody either counterfeits or bootlegs them.
Band doesn't want to see fans paying $600 for an unauthorized copy of their concert.
Right.
There's all sorts of reasons. Starts with the money, ends with the money, but there's,
Right.
This is Chicago Live in Japan, which once again was very, very, very difficult to get for years. The concert itself is very interesting. Peter Cetera was either drunk or high. He was forgetting words, slurring. The band rehearsed and actually sang one song, Lowdown, in Japanese. This is a flawless release of that recording, though, and it's an official release. So you can buy Chicago Live in Japan now. You have the Grateful Dead, of course, and their whole philosophy of allowing recorders to come in, set up shop with their own equipment, get great, soundboard recordings sometimes or close to it. You have King Crimson, who has, King Crimson, they're not even a band anymore. They've retired as King Crimson, but they still have a collectors club where hundreds and hundreds of soundboard recordings are released if you join their club. So if you join their subscription, it's a subscription. So I forget how much it is. You pay $150 a year or something, and you immediately get streaming access to their entire catalog, which is, I'm going to guess and say, about 1,000 different shows.
I went to the Metallica show in Tampa, Florida. And at the end of the show, they were selling CDs at the door for $5 of the show. I still have it.
Love it.
And it sounds good. It's right off the soundboard. I'm sure they duplicated a bunch and they were just selling them as you walk out the door, $5.
I wish they would still do stuff like that.
Yeah, me too.
It's fantastic.
Well, let me ask you something, Larry. Would it make sense to bootleg anything today? I mean, you and I are going to a concert this week, right?
Yep.
Would we bootleg that concert? Why would we do that?
I can only say this. I have a particular affinity of having live concert footage of concerts that I was actually at. King Biscuit Flower Hour released a Foghat concert. Oh gosh, I don't know, 20 years ago, 15 years ago. It was in Philadelphia, and I and Joe Farrell, my friend, we were at that show. And when we saw King Biscuit make an official release of that concert, we had to have it. It's immediate sale for anybody that was at the show.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? Bring back
it was
memories. Cool. It's more than just a ticket stub. It's actually the recording of the show.
That's right. And you could swear you could hear yourself in there screaming.
Oh, shit. Okay. All right. Look, Lair, before you buy a bootleg, as we've been talking about in the show, you really got to do a little research. There's a book called Hot Wax. This is the last wax, and it covers all of the hot wax. Here, I've got all of them. This covers everything in there, and it's cool because it goes in here to all of the sound quality, how they were made, where they came from, just good general information.
That is very cool.
Bootleg
very
Bible
cool.
Yeah, I think they stopped making these in the 90s, these books, but you get a chance to pick one up. They're harder to find. Pick up a copy of Hot Wax.
You could also find free live recordings on the Internet Archives. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of online resources if you do a little research. We have to be careful not about naming them. But
Right.
Trust me, if you know, you know. And if you don't know and you want them, do a little research. If you know me, you can ask me about it. There's one in particular I can tell you that has thousands and thousands of live concerts from every band you can think of. And it's kind of neat to look shows up on this site that you were at. You could look up, by city, by band, by city, by year. Very, very, very cool.
Yeah. You don't have to have the physical media. You can download the digital copy for yourself.
That's right.
And,
That's right.
Is this the dark web you're going on here, Lair? The
No.
dark web?
No.
The dark web. Also, You can do a lot of research, more books. I love my books. This is an excellent book about bootlegs. I think I paid $5 for this hardcover book.
Nice.
And it goes into everything you ever wanted to know about bootlegs, all the TMQ, the swinging pig, the smoking pig, the people that were behind it.
Boy, the bootlegs
Really
liked
good
the pigs,
information.
didn't they?
They loved their pigs
Yeah.
because they were pigging out, making bootlegs and making
Yeah,
and getting
right.
free money. And then, of course, as we talked about, A Pig's Tale, a fantastic tabletop book, and William Stout, better known as Bill, is going to be joining us, and he will be talking about this and the artwork that he did for not just bootleg albums, but he's done a lot of official release albums artwork. And of course, as Larry mentioned, some really cool stuff for movies and
Yeah.
other print media. Okay, Larry, it was a fun episode. Some bootlegs are incredible,
And some are terrible,
and some are illegal.
but some become official. But remember, you can't judge a book by its cover.
We want to hear from you. What's the best bootleg you've ever owned?
And what's the worst one that pissed you off and burned you?
And just drop that in the comments and make sure you tell us how pissed off you were about it.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching, everybody. And don't forget, you don't have to be a graybeard to be a part of Graybeard's Nation.